So let's look at the characteristics of a vampire and see if this actually matches with the way narcissists behave. Because, I mean, after all, what do we know? Maybe they really are vampires. So let's start with the first characteristic. When people think of vampires, they think of people who turn into bats. They think of people who come and typically will be sucking someone's blood and trying to turn them also into a vampire. The idea of sucking somebody's blood is taking somebody's energy away. And as we know, narcissists are sometimes referred to actually as being energetic vampires. They steal our energy. They also steal our life force. They steal our time. They steal our attention. And quite often they steal our money. They also sometimes steal our sleep. A lot of the things that give us energy in day to day are things that vampires steal away from us. Sorry, that narcissists steal away from us. There you go, slip of the tongue. Narcissists do have this in common, that they steal away energy. And then, as I mentioned, vampires, we think of people who are very charming, but actually underneath they're monsters. Narcissists also typically are very charming on the offset. They do all the love bombing phase, they present themselves as being wonderful people, and they figure out exactly what we want to be seduced. But once we look behind the mask, they are awfully ugly people. When we look at the way they behave like ugly people. When we just look beyond the facade and the nice appearances, they are terrible. They really seem like monsters. Just like in the movies you see vampires do when they're not being fed. They turn into horrible people. And narcissists in the same way. If they're not fed enough energy, they become aggressive and violent and unpleasant. So in this too, narcissists do seem like vampires. We also know that to protect ourselves against vampires, we need to use things like garlic, and vampires can't stand the sun. All of this garlic and the sun are disinfectants, and these disinfectants hurt them or kill them. Now, in real life, one of the big disinfectants is truth. When we confront lies with truth, we see the lies get burnt away. So normal people welcome truth, they welcome free speech, they welcome confronting ideas so the good ideas can win over the bad ideas. And fortunately for us, good ideas always seem to win over bad ideas if there's no manipulation and they're being rigorously and honestly confronted. That's actually part of what I'm doing in this channel, is trying to prevent people from manipulating bad ideas from winning. So in this sense, vampires are afraid of disinfectant and narcissists are petrified of disinfectant. They don't want people to think clearly. They don't want their bad ideas exposed. They want to keep everything in the shadows. Well, just like vampires. And then also remember, vampires don't have a reflection in the mirror. When they walk in front of a mirror, we don't see them. This is a bit similar to narcissists. If we look at them when nobody is looking, the face changes. It's like they go blank, like they don't have a personality. When we try to look deeply at them, we don't actually see anyone. There's just a facade, a mask. Look into the eyes, it's blank, there's nothing there. Or you might see hatred, but no real personality. It feels like they no longer have a soul. Maybe they don't, maybe they're keeping it hidden. But here too, it feels like if you look, there is no reflection when a narcissist stands in front of a mirror, which is ironic because we imagine a person looking at themselves in a mirror because of their self-love, but that's a different definition. This is not the person with a narcissistic personality disorder. Here too, it seems that narcissists are like vampires. Then something that people often don't know about vampires is vampires must be invited into your home. They cannot force themselves into your home. They have to trick you, but once they are in, it can be really difficult to get them out. And narcissists are quite similar to this. Narcissists also want to be invited in, and they will typically search for people who are willing to invite them in, people who often take pity on them, people who are usually high in empathy, and people are willing to have them in because they want to help, they want to provide shelter, and once they are in, it can be so difficult to remove them. It's terrible. Here too, it seems that narcissists are like vampires, and this is one of the reasons why it's important to have healthy boundaries. If people need help, maybe we can give them some kind of moral support without allowing them into our homes. It's important to take time to not invite random people in, because on the off chance they are a vampire or a narcissist, I'm not really sure which is worse, it can be really complicated to get them out. Now, if you look at these different criteria, it does seem that narcissists have a lot in common with vampires. I think it's helpful when using these frameworks. I mean, this one's a bit amusing, but also when you look at a person who you think is toxic or seems toxic or has characteristics of a narcissist, if you visualize them literally as being a vampire, what does it change? Would you really have the same amount of empathy for someone who literally was a vampire? Would you really be willing to give them more chances, knowing that every night when you fall asleep, they suck away your blood and they take away your energy and they make you tired the next day and grumpy, and they give you brain fog and they take your money and they take your attention and they're stealing your life and stealing the time away from your other loved ones? If you knew they were vampires, would you really put up with it? I mean, of course, they might say, well, it's not my fault because a vampire bit me and so on and so forth. Nonetheless, if they are vampires, they are vampires. It's in their nature to suck away the energy from people. It's easy to hope that maybe something one day is going to change. But here, if somebody literally is a vampire and you want to give them another chance, why are you doing that? What are you expecting that's going to be different? Why would a vampire stop being a vampire? And even if you told a vampire, hey, we have a cure, we have a remedy, you can stop being a vampire, why would they want to take it? What in this situation is not working out perfectly for the vampire? Can you really imagine Count Dracula sitting there thinking, I am so upset at being a vampire. I wish I was not a vampire. This is ruining my life. I just wish I was not this person. No. Dracula would not be doing that. Dracula would be too busy eating babies and doing whatever vampires do. This is not credible. Using these filters might be amusing, but it might also provide us with a clearer way of seeing reality. Remember, if something walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, and tastes like a duck, maybe consider it's a duck. If something walks like a vampire, acts like a vampire, and treats you as a vampire would treat you, it might not be completely stupid to consider that there might be some element of truth. We tend to take these stories very literally and really think it's literally a human being who becomes some kind of bat. But if we take a step back and we view it seriously with a real psychological merit, maybe this helps us navigate reality a bit more easily. A lot of these monster stories actually talk about the monstrous part of human nature. I know that it's very trendy to pretend that it's not there, but that is a lie. And people who pretend that everything is nice and easy and everyone is positive are people who are lying, and they probably have a benefit to try to push this lie. Remember, your map of reality should be able to predict what is going to happen. Maybe the vampire filter is a good way of predicting how narcissists do act and will act.